Former Chelsea striker Diego Costa has now been snapped up by Wolverhampton Wanderers, and that will be until the end of the season. It must be said that Diego Costa joins Wolverhampton Wanderers on a free transfer, having had his contract terminated with Brazilian club Atletico Mineiro way back as of January this year. The last time Diego Costa played any professional football was December 12th last year, and as a result of being inactive, he had his work permit denied initially before Wolves, appealed that decision, and he was granted his work permit. He's had his medicals and is now a Wolverhampton Wanderers player, the 33-year-old making another return to the English Premier League. His first stint with the English Premier League was definitely a successful one, playing with Chelsea over the course of 3 years and, securing 2 league titles in the process. So the bullish striker is back. Let's see how it fares for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Remember, for Wolverhampton Wanderers, they've had to battle with several injuries from Raul Jimenez, who has suffered various injuries over the last 3 years, to their new signing Kalajdzic, who also suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury that was sidelined him for so long, and that's the reason the club went for Diego Costa. In terms of experience, it definitely has it. Over 50 goals during the stint at Chelsea. Is definitely a handful to play with, considering his stature, and his hold-up play is definitely going to be, a huge concern for centre-backs in the Premier League. But the big question is, does he still have the pace? Does he still have, that desire, that hunger that we know of Diego Costa while at Chelsea? It's yet to be seen. Remember, the last time he played football, as I said earlier, was December 12th, which is about 9 months. Yes, today is September 12th. Exactly 9 months ago, that's when he last played football. So you would expect him to be a bit much rusty, but I'm sure in the coming days, especially when the games begin to come in their torrents, it would prove a handful, for other defenders, and prove to be a valuable buy for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Well, it's all about football at this point, and that's where we continue on that trend, talking about reviewing the football action we had over the weekend. Let's move to the Spanish La Liga. Yes, you had Barcelona in action as well over the weekend, and life seems to be good. This time around against Cadiz away from home. That was quite an impressive performance from Javier Hernandez's men, and I think the stalemate at the beginning of the season against Rayo Vallecano at the Nou Camp has long been forgotten, considering their strong successive wins ever since then. You had Lewandowski once again popping in the goals, and you had a whole lot of players. Frankie de Jong getting his first goal of the season for Barcelona after that protracted transfer saga where he was linked with Manchester United. There were talks of taking pay cuts, it was being owed salaries and all of that, but for all of these, it was all about the performance on the night, and Barcelona were deserving of their victory over Cadiz. For Cadiz, it was another dismal performance, although when you look at the quality of both sides, you can understand why Barcelona ran rampant against Cadiz. So it's all about Barcelona keeping up the pressure, the title pressure now with Real Madrid. They are definitely a different team for what we saw last year, and they will definitely be right there with Real Madrid until the end of the season in terms of title contention, although Real Madrid are still the team to beat, considering their perfect start to the season as well as being the defending champions. Let's move now to Real Madrid. Yes, I just told you that they have a perfect start to the season, and they extended that as well in stunning fashion. No Karim Benzema, no problem. Remember, Karim Benzema was injured midweek during the Champions League, and as a result, there were concerns how long will he be out and all of that. But you had Vinicius Jr. starring for Real Madrid, to get them through, although Real Mallorca proved to be a bit difficult at first, but the quality of Real Madrid showed over time, especially in the second half, as Carlo Ancelotti rung the changes and ensured that his men ran out comfortable 4-1 winners on the night. For Real Madrid, the win extends their perfect start to the season, and they're still topping the table, 2 points ahead of title rivals Barcelona, and that may just prove crucial, considering you still have the El Clasicos to come. Talking about both legs of the El Clasico this season. If it ends in a stalemate, if it ends in a win for Real Madrid, at least one of them, then you think they will fancy their chances of repeating their title feat from last season. But Real Madrid ran out convincing winners, and I think everyone is looking forward to the showdown between Barcelona and Real Madrid. That would definitely be a clash of the Titan once again, unlike recent times where it's been one-sided. Well, still talking about matches we saw over the weekend. You had the Italian Serie A as well, playing games, and the AC Milan, defending champions of the Italian Serie A, AC Milan were away at Sampdoria. It was meant to be a difficult task, and yes, it was, because you had Stefano Pioli's men having to make do with Olivier Giroud's penalty, to win the match by 2-1. It was a match that saw Rafael Leao, get sent off for 2 bookable offenses, although the second is debatable, considering it was going for an overhead kick and had his back to the defender. But sometimes a high boot is a high boot, regardless of the position of the player who attempts the kick, and you had a referee sending him off for that. AC Milan took the lead early on in the game. Within the first 6 minutes of the game, they were up and running, with Rafael Leao teeing up Junior Messias to get the opening goal, but Sampdoria scored the equalizer in the second half, early on in the second half, which was well deserved, before Olivier Giroud won a penalty off an handball from the defender of Sampdoria, and he coolly dispatched that into the back of the net. It was a match that was also heated. You had players complaining about the officiating. They wanted more time, especially at added time, as AC Milan players were trying to wind down the clock. You also had Sampaolo, the coach of Sampdoria, getting sent off as a result of his words, his rhetorics, on the touchline. So it's Sampdoria condemned to another defeat, while for AC Milan, they keep up their unbeaten start to the season with 3 wins and 2 draws to the start of the season, or 4 wins rather, 4 wins and 2 draws to the start of the season. And definitely that was a much needed win, considering Napoli had defeated Spezia by a lone goal earlier before their game. Well, let's move away from there now and talk about Juventus. Still in the Italian Serie A, Juventus were also in action, and that was a match that was shocking. At the Allianz Stadium, the home of Juventus, they considered 2 goals in the first half to throw by 2-0 going into halftime. But in the second half, you had Massimiliano Allegri's men, make a comeback to pull the game at 2-2. And just when they thought they had scored a goal in added time of the game by Milik, that goal was chalked off by VAR, and it was controversial because several pundits and players alike thought that goal should have stood, but the VAR officials thought otherwise, and that goal was chalked up. And as a result of that decision and the melee that followed, you had 3 red cards issued. In fact, 4, if you consider Massimiliano Allegri was also sent off. So 2 red cards for Juventus in that mix. You had Juan Colorado, who was sent off. You also had Milik, who scored the goal, sent off as well. For Milik, he was already on a yellow card before. When he scored that goal, which he deemed the winner, he took off his shirt in the celebration, and as a result of that, he got his second yellow card and is matching orders. While from Allegri, the coach of Juventus, during the course of the melee, he also got himself sent off. While for Salernitana, it was Fazio, their captain, who got sent off. So altogether, you had 4 red cards in the match. It was an ill-tempered match, it must be said. Bonucci getting the equalizer for Juventus as they snatched a draw. Yes, Juventus are still unbeaten to the season, but they've recorded several draws, and as a result, they sit lowly at 8th position in the standings. Not a good sight for Juventus at all, considering that they also lost midweek to Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Champions League. The pressure is definitely piling up on Massimiliano Allegri in terms of his job at Juventus. Well, let's move away from there now and talk about UEFA Champions League. Yes, we had action last week, and this week we'll have as well on Tuesday and Wednesday. But the match on Tuesday between Rangers and Napoli at the Ibrox Stadium has now been postponed, or rather moved to Wednesday, and that's as a result of logistics issue. Now, the decision was taken, in collaboration with UEFA, the Scottish FA Rangers, as well as the police force right there in Scotland. And one of the reasons given for the rescheduled game to Wednesday is that due to limitations on police resources, organizational issues also relating to the Queen's funeral, as a result of that, they had to move the game itself. Remember that Queen Elizabeth II died a few days ago, and the UK as a whole is in mourning, and as a result of the various you know, various, you know, events that would usher into that grades beyond. You know, the police force are stretched rather at this point in time. So Rangers against Napoli will take place on Wednesday, and more importantly about that match is the fact that there will be no away fans as a result of the lack of enough police personnel. And UEFA, in the spirit of sportsmanship and equity and fairness as well, have decided that the return leg on the 26th of October in Naples will also not have away fans. So you have Rangers having their home fans for the game against Napoli, but when they play the reverse fixture at Naples, they will not have their home fans. It will be Napoli who have their own fans present. Let's see how that pans out.